Hello, friends. Thank you so much for your birthday wishes, and a special thanks to Regards Ray for his gift. Today, before we move to Bitcoin, we look at few important dates in July. July 17th is supposed to be a key date for Bitcoin because on that date, Congress will hold a hearing for the Clarity Act bill. Let's see how Bitcoin reacts around these days. We'll also talk again about the elephant in the room for Bitcoin, but also who needs to be cautious with the challenging aspect of Mars and Uranus. Well, the other day I've heard another astrologer say that 2026, that's the year of the horse, will not be a good year for Bitcoin. I'm really not familiar with Chinese astrology, so I went back and did a little research. Well, the last horse year was in 2014, and it turns out that he was right. 2014, it wasn't a good year for Bitcoin. That year, the price of Bitcoin dropped 58%. In January of 2014, Bitcoin was around 755 USD, and by December of that year, it had fallen to 320 USD. I'm recording this before July 1st, so I will announce the winner of our contest next month. But let's start a new challenge and let's see who can predict the price of Bitcoin on October 1st. The winner, as always, will receive a free analysis of his birth chart. You can leave your guess in the comments. But as always, let's start with few important dates in July. There is so much to say about July, but I'll try and keep it short. But July is a month that it's a good idea to keep a close eye on the markets. So let's take a quick look at July. Many of us may feel emotionally overwhelmed because Mercury, the planet of mind and communication, is retrograde until the last week of July in the sign of Cancer, which is an emotional sign. And when with Venus in Virgo, July is actually a month to improve and adjust things rather than start new projects. And since Mercury is also the planet of trade, when it's retrograde, the markets usually behave unpredictable and strange. From July 2nd to the 4th, Mars, the planet of action, will conjunct Uranus. Well, this is a conflict and explosive aspect, and July 4th is also the Independence Day in the United States. You can see the arrow on the map, that's Uranus and Mars together. Well, this aspect doesn't really guarantee that anything bad will happen, but it's a good idea to avoid risky situations. In my own chart, Uranus is at the moment in a tense angle to my Mars, and I kept thinking I should be really careful when I'm driving. But when I went to visit my friends for my birthday, I ended up with 2 car accidents in 2 days. Well, I was lucky because there were no injuries and not much damage. Well, just to give you an example how these planets can play it out. In my personal predictions, I always pay attention to this aspect, and I always want people to be cautious. The planet Uranus also represents technology, the internet, and crypto. So another possible scenario could involve concerns about security and digital safety, and that's because of a possible cyber attack. But nevertheless, try and be cautious around the days of July 4th, and this applies to everyone, but especially if you're born 2 or 3 days before or after July 4th, August 27, November 26, and February 23rd. Or if you know your chart and you have personal planets at 4 degrees of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, of Pisces. Well, the good news is that Pluto is in a positive angle to Uranus, and the next day Mars will form a positive angle to Neptune and Pluto. So even though something surprising and disturbing will happen, I believe it could lead to a positive transformation. Now, if there is an important conversation you've been putting off, on July 12 and 13 are the best days to have it. And that's when Mercury will align with the Sun, an aspect called Kazimi. But it's also a good idea to keep a close eye on the markets around the days of July 13, because during this couple of days, Venus, the love and money planet, forms a tense angle to Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. This aspect could easily mean volatility and sudden shifts in the markets. On July 14, there is a new moon in Cancer, and although new moons are all about new beginnings, with Mercury being retrograde, I believe it's a good idea to wait for a while before you start something new. The second part of July is really interesting because the outer planets Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and Jupiter are forming a positive aspect between them. This is very rare. We never experienced this situation before. And I'm not 100% sure how this is going to play out, but one possible scenario is that things may become clear and we may finally see, both personally but also collectively, which direction path to take. Overall, this is a very positive situation for all of us, so expect positive developments. But it's not all roses, because at the same time on July 20th, Jupiter will oppose Pluto. And Pluto represents large financial institutions, banks, and also the global economy. We had this opposition before in 2013, which was a period actually with banking issues and the euro crisis. Pluto, amongst others, is also connected to secrets. So another possible scenario could be that a secret could be revealed involving a world leader. And on top of that, the last week of the month, the moon nodes, which represents our destiny and our life's purpose, will change signs to Aquarius and Leo for the next 18 months. Well, I don't really want to spoil your mood, but historically, when the North Node was in Aquarius, like in 2008, the economy was in trouble and the markets were volatile. I do believe that we may see the economy in trouble the next period, but my opinion, well, the reason is that the financial system that we have needs to change and become more fair and just. And that's the meaning of Pluto in Aquarius. With Jupiter in Leo until next July, it might be a good idea to invest in gaming, gold, or betting platforms such as Robinhood, but also luxury goods. And this is my opinion, it's not a financial advice. But before we move to Bitcoin, I have a small request. Please take a moment to press the like button. It really helps my video get more views. And if you like to have your own chart and predictions, you can get in touch with me. My email is in the description. Also, if you like to thank me and support my channel, or even buy me a coffee, you can do that through the super thanks below the video for as low as $2 USD. Thank you very much. And my friends, remember that this is not a financial advice. As I've said many times, Bitcoin is hard to predict, and I can easily make mistakes. So now let's move to Bitcoin. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's Neptune, the planet of inspiration and confusion that is still sitting together with Bitcoin's moon, and at the same time is in a tense angle to Mars. You can see the red arrow on the map. And this has been going on since last month. In Bitcoin's chart, the moon represents the public, the people. And what this shows is that we feel unclear, confused, and disappointed about where things are going, and I guess it makes sense. Well, the good news is because Neptune will turn retrograde, it will start separating, but that's after the middle of July. But we will have this situation again. I will talk about that in my 4-month Bitcoin predictions for August, September, October, and November, which is my next project that I will start working on. And because the market is low, I keep my prices low. If you'd like to have more information, you can get in touch with me. My email is in the description. Although July doesn't look bullish for Bitcoin, if I'm correct, we might get some good news regarding the Clarity Act on the 17th. And I'm saying this because during these days, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and luck, will form a positive angle to Bitcoin's moon. Jupiter also rules regulations and legal matters. Neptune and Pluto are also in a positive angle to Bitcoin's moon, but also the North Node, which means increasing, is together with Bitcoin's Venus. You can see that on the map, that's the green arrows. Another indication is that following the days of July 17th, there are positive aspects that suggest the price may start moving upward. I might be wrong, guys, but I'm really curious to see what will happen. But let's start from the beginning. During the first 9 days of the month, there is a mix of positive and negative aspects. And this usually means that the price will move sideways, or we may see a slight correction, especially July 4th and 5th. After July 8th and until the 15th, there are plenty of positive aspects that suggest the price could start going up. I'm not 100% sure, but it may rise quite a bit. From July 15th to the 18th, well, we may see a correction, but after July 18th until around the 23rd, there are again positive aspects suggesting that the price will go up again. July 24th to the 26th, there is again a mix of positive and tense angles, and usually when this happens, the price moves sideways. However, July 27 looks a bit better, but after that and until the end of the month, there are plenty of tense angles, and this suggests that we may see a correction, or for a few days the price will move sideways. So that's it, my friends. Take care until next time. Bye.